Hello again. This is Math 0465 coming to you from the College of DuPage. And the title of this lecture, which is aligned with section 1.6 in your book, is entitled An Ounce of Prevention, and we're talking about means. As always, please be attentive while watching this video. So suppose Aya is taking a class that has 5 exams, each worth 100 points. After 4 exams, her average in the class is 80%. She tells her friend Malik, if I get 100% on the last exam, my grade will be an A. 80 and 90 average to be, or 80 and 100 average to be 90, which is an A. Malik replies, no, it's not even possible for you to get an A in the class. Who is right and why? So give this problem a go, and we'll see how you do. Let's see how you did. Well, I'm using Excel, and you see Aya had 4 exams averaging 80, so that means she had a total of 320 points. And on this next exam, if she got 100, that would mean she has 5 exams and 420 points. So if you divide 5 into 420, you get 84 is her average per exam. So you see Malik is right. Let's look at another example. Suppose Malik scores 90 out of 100 points on a test in a different class. What's his average in the course after that test if he had 60% of 100 possible points prior to that test? And then there's a second question. What if he had 60% of 900 possible points prior to that test? Please pause the video and work the problem. Let's see how you did. Again, I'm using Excel to solve this. I would encourage you to do that. So in the first situation, he scored 90 out of 100, and previous to that, he had 60 out of 100, so his total is 150 points out of a possible 200. That means he is at 75%. Now in the second scenario, he had 60% of 900, which is 540. I add those two together, I get 630 divided by a total now of 1,000, and he has 63%. So what we're talking about here is called the mean, and it's called the arithmetic, not arithmetic, but arithmetic mean, or average of a set of numbers, is one measure of a set's center or middle. It is the sum of the values divided by the number of values. We are going to talk about other measures of center, and that will happen in in subsequent videos or in other videos that happen with the statistics thread of this course. Let's look at another example. Suppose the football player Patrick Mahomes threw a football 85 times in games for 769 total yards. Then he averaged, you would take the 769 divided by 85, it was 9.05 yards per throw. The average tells us that Mahomes could have achieved the same total by throwing a perfectly consistent 9.05 yards per throw. That is not necessarily what happened, because some throws were likely shorter or longer than this distance. But the average should be thought of as a redistribution of the set of numbers, but you're dividing them equally. Let's look at an active example. So this graph shows the 10 most visited national parks in 2018. What is the average number of visitors for the park for these 10 parks? So there they are. You can see that the Great Smoky Mountains was the highest, and Glacier National Park was the 10th most popular. So please pause the video, work this problem, and we'll see how you did. Let's see how you did. Since there's so many numbers and there's such big numbers, I would encourage you to use Excel, and in fact I used Excel for this solution. And so what I did is I added these numbers. I got 479355147. I divide that by 10. That means I move the decimal point one place to the left, and then I round off, and I get this is my answer. And so the average number of visitors is 4,793,515. Now, this is looking ahead to the next example, but it's good to have it here. So to find the mean of a set of values, you add the values and you divide by the total number of values. An abbreviated way of writing the formula uses the summation notation, and that is the capital sigma. The capital sigma, you could read it sigma, but what it means is add it up. So the mean is you add up all the x values and divide by n. Now the variable x in this indicates a data value, and n is the number of values. And just looking ahead, you can see this is somebody having dinner. So one dinner was 24, another one was 38, another one was 40. Sometimes he's above the average and sometimes he's below average, but if you take these and paste it down here, you would be exactly at the average. And here is that example. So John buys the dinner. Here's the values for each dinner. You divide it by 3, that's $34 per meal. And you can say that that's the same thing as taking 24, which was the low value, and the 38 and 40, and think about this as being a teeter-totter. That's what it calls here. And to balance the teeter-totter, you take the distance times the number, but that's what the mean is also doing. If you place, this is called a fulcrum. If you put the fulcrum at the mean, that's the balance that you're striking. Here's another example. So 8 servers work at a restaurant and earn the following tips on a particular night. So here is all the tips that the 8 of them learned. Their practice at this restaurant is to evenly share their tips. How much should each server receive? Please pause the video and work the problem. Let's see how you did. So again, I'm using Excel. I add these up. I get 704.25. And I divide that by 8 servers, and I get this, and probably they would give each server $88 and wouldn't worry about these fractional pennies. Here's another example. 2 months into a biology course, Juan has taken 3 quizzes with these scores out of 10, 8, 8, and 5. So we ask, what is his average quiz score, so far? But suppose on the 4th and the average is, let's see if we would look at this, it would be, well, I think we compute that. But now on the 4th quiz, he gets 3 out of 10. What's his new average? And how did this low score affect his grade, and why does that happen? So please give this a problem a go. Pause the video. Let's see how. Again, I used Excel. So before this last quiz, he had 21 out of 30. That's an average of 70. But he got 3 out of 10. That makes him have 24 out of 40, and that lowers his grade to 60% because he got lower than what he had before for the average. Now, we'll continue the same example, but he's unhappy with his current average because that might be a D. He decides he wants to raise his grade to a C, and that means it's an average of 7 out of 10. Now, the 5th quiz is worth 10 points. What will he need to score in it to bring his average back to a C? This is similar to the first problem we did. Please pause the video. Let's see how you. And you can see that even if he gets a 10 out of 10 on this next video, that would bring him to 34 out of 50, and that cannot bring him up to a C. So it's impossible for him to bring that to a C. Hopefully there's something else going on in the course for Juan's sake. Okay, let's look at another example. Ben is searching for reviews on a book that he's interested in reading. He sees that there are 12 reviews, each ranging from 0 to 5 stars. But it does say that the average rating for the book is 3.75. That's the average. He sees there are 4 reviews at 5 stars, 4 at 4 stars, 2 at 3 stars, and 1 review at 2 stars. And he can see the first 11 reviews on one page of the website, but the last review is on the next page. Without clicking to the next page, what is the rating of the last review? Please pause the video and work this problem. Let's see how you. Okay, so these are the ratings, and you see 12 times 3.75 means, when I multiply that out, that the total rating points is 45. But if you add up what's on the first page, it's 44. So the rating on the last page has to be a 1 to get the total to be 45. Now, the midpoint of a line segment is the point that is halfway between the endpoints of the line segment. For example, on a number line, if you wanted to be halfway between 8 and 22, the midpoint is the same as 15, and that's the same distance from each end. So the mean of the endpoints also gives the midpoint. So if you add those two together and divide by 2, you get 15, which is the midpoint. Now, not only can we find the midpoint between two numbers on a number line, but we can also find the midpoint between 2 points in a coordinate system. So the midpoint of the line segment, now here's a line segment in a graph of xy plane, between 2 points A, B, and C, D is found by averaging the x coordinates and averaging the y coordinates of the 2 points. That is, the midpoint is A plus C divided by 2, and again, the A and C were the x values, and B and D were the y values. And so the midpoint is A plus C over 2, comma, B plus D over 2. So for example, if we had minus 3, 9, and 2, minus 5, here's the point 2, minus 5, and this is a point minus 3, 9. So the midpoint is, I average the x coordinates and the y coordinates, and I get that the midpoint is minus 1/2, comma 2. And you see there's that dot, and that's what we have. Here's an example for you to do. So plot these 2 points on this grid and connect them with line segment, then find the midpoint of the line segment and plot it on the graph. Pause the video and work this problem. Let's see how you. So the midpoint that you should have found is going to be minus 1 over 8 and minus 1/2. And you can see that that is the midpoint between them, and here's where you would have pointed, plotted. This is 1/2, comma 4. And this point down here is minus 3/4, minus 5. And there's the midpoint, minus 1/8, comma, minus 1/2 plotted there. It shows these as exact decimals in this case. Now, we use these kind of things in terms of a weighted average to calculate a grade point average. You see, some of your courses are more semester hours than others. So here we have an example of how to compute a GPA. So you have a student is taking a class called Sports Analysis, Statistics, Entrepreneurship, Crowdfunding, and Social Marketing. But they have different weightings. The sports analysis and the crowdfunding are 2-hour courses, and the other 3 or 4-hour courses, so they count more. Now you get points for different grades, and this is how you do this at the College of DuPage. So an A is 4 points, a C is 2 points, a B is 3 points, a D is 1 point, and an F is 0 points. But what you do is you take the grade number times the number of hours. So this gives you 8, this gives you 16, 8, 4, and here is 12. So you add up the points times the hours, 48, and you divide by the sum of the number of hours. So the GPA is total points divided by total hours. In this case, it's a 3.0, which is a B average. So you should know how to calculate a GPA. And in fact, here's a problem for you to do, and I really took a student. I didn't tell you who the student was, but this is really a great profile for a student. You can see they're a pretty good student. These are the grades that they earned in the courses, and these are the number of hours in the course. So what is this student's grade point average? And since there's so many things to add up, you probably want to use Excel. So please pause the video, do this using Excel, and then return. Let's see how you did. Okay, so for each A, it was a 4, each B was a 3, and the student didn't get anything lower than that. So you take the grade times the hours, and these are your products, and you add those up. So this student had 294 quality grade points, and they had 76 hours. So you take 294 divided by 76, you get this, and you usually round grade points to the 100th place. So this would be 3.87. In closing, now more than ever, time is precious. Each day must count. Do the math. It will make you strong. And now more than ever, take care of yourself because self-care is important. And now more than ever, take care of each other because we're all in this together, particularly the people who are in your group. So please stay the course. God bless you, and I will see you soon on another video.